doing a guide on the Attica isn't exactly gonna bring a whole lot of attention. But you know what? That's not the point. The point is to shed some light on a forgotten legend, an absolutely glorious primary weapon that most players in Warframe today don't even know exists. It was launched back in 2014 with update 13.0, Dark Sectors. You guys remember that? I'll share with you a little secret. I wasn't even playing Warframe back then. But today, my friends, we're going to be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 7 primary weapon. As per the usual, I'm going to have a cheap build, something affordable and approachable that most players should be able to build, but we're also going to try a Riven setup, Warframe buffs, basically the works, to see how far can we take the Attica. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a new player friendly approach. I'm going to be taking my time and explaining whatever I feel is necessary for newer players. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Attica. Let's have a look at how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of free shots. The Attica is an automatic crossbow, so that means all you gotta do is point, keep your trigger finger pressed down and watch the bolts fly to your target. That means projectile flight speed, unfortunately. So leading your targets is definitely a thing on the Attica. Now the actual PFS is quite nice, I might say, similar to the Agbolto Prime, just like the aspect of these here mini bolts of sorts. Now the fire rate isn't really all that fast, just like the reload isn't really all that fast with a 20 mag capacity. But the recoil kinda lines up to the fire rate that way. Take a look, this is the 50 meter test, let's make sure it's actual 50 meters, there we go. You see that? It does bounce around, it does have a bit of a recoil, but most of the bolts will be landing exactly in the center of the crosshairs, because again, that recoil does line up to the fire rate of the weapon, which is quite nice, unless you put on more fire rate, in which case you should reduce the recoil, but that's how things work. Speaking about how things work, let's have a closer look at stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. Mod capacity 60 out of 60, and if your Attica comes with only 30 out of 40 Java actions, plug in that Orokin Catalyst, double that mod capacity. Now, I usually like to say up front if a weapon is worth building or not, and in this case it really depends. Do you want a meta weapon that can like kill everything with no effort at all? This is not the weapon for you. Just swing a melee, you'll be fine. But if you want something slightly different and satisfying, subjectively satisfying to use, definitely put an Orokin Catalyst into the Attica. It costs 20 plat to have one installed, you can grind one from Nightwave, you can get a blueprint from the Daily Sortie, and some events in Warframe also feature the Orokin Catalyst as a possible and guaranteed reward. Now my weapon has been formatted a total of 5 times, but for the weapon build I'm recommending you guys, you can get away with 3. 3 is more than sufficient, or should be. If you got a Riven, you might want to go to 4. Is it worth unlocking the weapon Exilus slot though? Well, in this case definitely, because you can go with terminal velocity. 60% projectile flight speed, so that means it's gonna be easier to get the headshot, and this is a critical weapon, you gotta go for headshots. You don't know why it's important on a crit weapon to go for a headshot? Haha! I got you covered, link in the cards right now. Just so you can understand how critical chance and critical multipliers apply in Warframe. And you might think it's pretty straightforward, but trust me, it's really not that straightforward. Other candidates for this slot, Stabilizer. Definitely you can go for something like this, because again the weapon does jiggle a little bit, and if you're gonna go for fire rate, I say you go for Stabilizer as well. The accuracy on this one is 40. Honestly, it's pinpoint accurate, but I wouldn't go with heavy caliber. Why not? Well, let me show you. It drops down to 11 point. That's not important. Good job, Dave. You still haven't fixed that. It's okay. It's fine. Multi-shot and heavy caliber. Just so you can see the effect on the accuracy of the weapon. Same 50 meters as before. Look at that. This is not the kind of weapon you just want to spray and pray. This is not it. You want to make sure that your bolts are landing exactly where you want them, because you don't want to run into that reload for no goddamn good reason, right? If you're gonna run into the reload, you might as well make sure that you got all of your bolts to land on the head of the target, or as many as possible. Essentially, don't gimp yourself with heavy caliber. Not in this case. Critical chance and critical damage. Base crit chance is 25%, which, considering this is a primary weapon, it's actually quite nice. But the critical multiplier, it's where it's at. 3.0. Absolutely bloody fantastic. Love it. Fire rate fire rate is a tad slow, and the magazine not all that big. It is silent though, being an automatic crossbow, and the reload is definitely on the lengthy side at 2.8 seconds. And here is where the Attica wins, and wins hard it shall, my friends. 5 out of 5 riven dispo. 5 out of 5 riven disposition. That means you can make up for the usability issues of this weapon with some hardcore power, because this is not a very popular weapon. Why would it? Again, it's not a meta weapon per se, but you can make it do insane things if you got the right riven. And Attica rivens, super cheap, my friends. Get yourself a couple of unrolled ones, head on over to Kuva, and see if you get lucky. It is definitely worth getting a riven for this one. Status chance is low. 10% honestly makes the Attica slightly underpowered. I would go for at least 20, but perhaps a future Attica Prime, which I've been hoping for the better part of 2 years. Trigger automatic, and the damage is laid out as follows. Puncture, a whole lot of it, a little bit of slash, and almost no impact. Honestly, they could have just removed impact altogether. It wouldn't have mattered all that much. And now with just 4 little impact here means that the bloody thing can still bloody proc, which is annoying, at least for me. The total damage is sky high, however. It's 80 per bolt, which is definitely huge. Speaking about huge, this intro, let's talk about a standard build, shall we? And you got damage with Serration, multi-shot with split chamber, critical chance, and critical damage with point strike, vital sense. Of course, being a primary weapon which crits a lot, Hunter Munitions. You gotta has it. It's a very, very powerful mod. Now, you also got the 260-60 vital mods. Now, keep in mind that if you're going down to Deimos, the brand new expansion, or whatever you want to call it, most enemies there are immune to vital damage, so you want to swap out the vital for something like corrosive or whatever tickles your fancy. In this case, we're gonna go initially like so. Terminal velocity for easier aiming, and there's still one more mod slot available. And in this one, you can plug in a whole lot of things. Here's something that you can never go wrong, and it's the Secura the Secura Penta. Don't go on the Penta, but everything else, go with the Vigilante armaments. It's definitely a solid choice. And we're gonna try out the build like so, and then we're gonna make a couple of changes here and there. Always make double sure that you're not cheating with Warframe buff, something like corrosive projection, arcanes, etc, etc. Just so you can get a proper feel for a weapon's power without any outside buffs. First, you know. Now, level 120, corrupted heavy guns. I'm just gonna go straight for headshots. So, with a slash build, essentially what you want to do is hit a target till about 50% and then see if the slashes actually have the necessary punch to kill off a target. You're not gonna get a lot of slashes out of the Attica simply because you don't fire a whole lot of projectiles, but the ones that do hit like a goddamn truck. It's automatic and it does 80 damage per bolt unmodded. I think now it does like, I don't even see, like 1,000 something, I don't know, we'll check it out. As you can see, you're not getting a lot of procs on your targets, but the ones that you are getting are just chomping away. Look at that. 10,000 plus slash easy mode gameplay every single day. 2 slashes and 2 viral procs on the target. I think it's gonna stop around 10%. There you go. Almost killed off a target. And this is why I love projectile-based attacks. Bolt weapons. You can send enemies flying off into the distance. You can even pin them to walls, which is definitely subjectively satisfying to me, my friends. To me. You don't have to like it, but I think it's absolutely outstanding. Back to the point at hand. The performance of the Attica, from my humble point of view, is definitely something worth mentioning. It's not terrible, it's not fantastic, but you still have those usability issues to deal with. The fire rate ain't fantastic, the reload ain't fantastic, it's a projectile-based attack. Let's say that you can fix one of those things with the weapon Exilus slot, right? Let's say you can fix the projectile flight speed, so therefore it's a lot easier. It feels more like a hit scan weapon, even though it's not. Here's one of the mods that I encourage you using. It's not about power. It's not the smartest mod necessarily to use on the Attica, but it's the one that transforms the weapon into a joy to use and play with from mission to mission. And for that, we're gonna go with fire rate. My favorite fire rate mod is Vial Acceleration. If you are getting all bent out of shape because of the minus 15% damage which is taken away from your Serration, yeah, then you can just go with Speed Trigger, alright? But Vial Acceleration is definitely what I recommend you guys trying. If you don't know how to farm corrupted mods such as Vial Acceleration or Heavy Caliber, look at the card right now. Now, we got a fire rate of 10 point something. Did you see that? Absolutely glorious. Now, of course, it increases your DPS heavily, but you also gotta factor in that reload time and the fact that you will be bumping into the reload a whole lot more often than before. But this is just satisfying to use. It's just fun to do this. What can I tell you guys? It may not be the smartest mod you could use per se, but it's definitely something worth mentioning. And you know what? If you're not the kind of player that always fights level 100 plus enemies, because let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of point to that outside of Steel Path, and not even then there, to be honest, if you already got everything you needed, then you might want to consider just going for this one because it feels better. Maybe tap on some reload speed as well. There's still one more mod which I do want to mention. I used to not recommend it, not because of its power aspect, simply because it was hard to get, but nowadays it's easy to get Argon Scope. And if you still don't have Argon Scope, all you gotta do is head on over to Deimos, do a couple of bounties, and trust me, you'll get it. Especially if you enjoy pretty colors on your screen. With this one, we're going to orange crit territory. Allow me to demonstrate. Once again, viral/build, but this time with Argon Scope. From what I noticed, if players are playing with a bow or a crossbow, automatic or normal, they kind of aim, so that's what I recommend you guys doing. I got Argon Scope up, there's gonna be 8 slashes on that target really quick, no viral whatsoever. Did you notice that? There was no viral proc on that target and it still got absolutely annihilated with no viral whatsoever. As you can see, I'm not getting a lot of viral procs on my target, regardless of the option slot, because the problem is, I don't have a whole lot of status chance. So in the final slot, what you can also go for is something like another 60-60. Hey, you can go viral heat. Viral heat is definitely a good idea, unless you're going down to Deimos, in which case, again, go for corrosive, not viral. So there you go, my friends, that's your options for a standard build. And once again, don't feel like you're locked into these options. Try to modify a little bit and simply adapt every weapon to your individual preferences. Now let's talk about Riven mods, shall we? Because this is how you can get this weapon from it's okay to absolutely insane. Now I got 2 Rivens. I'm gonna be showcasing this one, multi-shot crit chance plus recoil. Beautiful. Absolutely bloody fantastic. Check out the values because of the Riven disposition. 250% almost crit chance when point strike, which is respectable, offers you 150, and 170 multi-shot when split chamber gives you 90%. Truly outstanding. Now what I can also do is reduce the recoil, but because it does have weapon recoil plus, which is a negative in this case, but unfortunately that would mean for me to format this weapon one more time, which I won't, so I'll just go like so. The negative on this one is definitely not harmless, but you know what, you can live with it, especially if you format that Exilus slot. Take a look with a Riven. Jesus, absolutely bloody destroyed. Once again, my friends, when it comes to Riven mods, multi-shot is probably 1, 2, and goddamn free. Go for multi-shot above everything else. Then you gotta go for something like damage or critical chance or even fire rate would be cool on Riven. Definitely, why not? But multi-shot, as always, is king when it comes to Riven. Take a look at that power. Absolutely insane, man. Now, there's still one more thing which I can do, and we should definitely do for fun, for science, and for all of that good stuff. Bump up everything with Warframe buffs. And who better than Lady Mirage Prime? And some of you might say, hey, Harrow, because it has crit. No, precisely that's why we're not using Harrow. You use Harrow when a weapon does not have crit or has something like fantastic status but not crit. In this case, Lady Mirage will offer us much better results. Now, for the fashion, actually we're gonna go like so, definitely. Corrosive projection against Grenier as per the usual, but if your build calls for whatever else, I don't know, maybe use Energy Siphon because you're newer in Warframe, this is an MR7 weapon, then simply go for the aura that you think is best. Corrosive projection will do wonders against heavily armored targets. When it comes to Arcanes, Arcane Avenger is a must from my point of view on most setups. On damaged, a 21% chance for plus 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. This is a bonus additive after. It applies to your primary, melee, and to your secondary at the exact same time. As for a primary arcanes, the equivalent of precision is called Rage for primaries, and it basically does kind of the same thing. On headshot, a 15% chance for a massive 180% damage to primary weapons for 24 seconds. And this is the setup we're going to be testing next. Now, this being a primary weapon, you can also pull off the trick with the Sentinel. You guys probably noticed by now, you simply get a Sentinel, any Sentinel you want. For example, I still use Carrier out of Commodity, either Carrier or the Kavat because of Charm. And make sure that on that Sentinel's weapon you have all the Vigilante mods. armaments, offense, supplies, and fervor for the 20% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. Even if your little sentinel dies and never comes back to life, you will retain said buff. And now we're gonna bump up the level to 155. Corrupted heavy goons, we're gonna be unpausing them so they can hit me and I can get my buffs. Activate Empower on Mirage, and if you don't know how to put Empower on Mirage, you need the helmet system, then her free ability for an absolutely amazing damage increase. And one more time, the best animation in Warframe. Oh baby, yeah. Now we're gonna go shot by shot. Take a look at that. Oh, mommy, what happened to you? Make sure you get a goddamn headshot. No headshot, not even a chance at a beautiful, beautiful one shot. What happened to you? It looks like Vlad the Impaler went through town. Take a look at this. It's absolutely sensational. I love that. Leyzar, you got issues. You don't know the half of it. One more time. The Corrupted Heavy Goons. Level 155, my friends. 155. And now, my friends, time for some very difficult conclusions. Difficult for me, and I'll tell you why. Do you have any idea how much I hate to say that my favorite weapons are not meta? To say that my favorite weapons are simply not as good as they used to be. In today's day and age, what you're gonna be using is a whole lot of melees, right? You're gonna be basically using one build for melee, swing, and everything's gonna die. And there's no room in a meta such as this for outstanding, beautiful, satisfying to use weapons such as the Attica. But, that does not mean you can't opt for something a little bit different, because the Attica, while not a meta weapon per se, can still pack one hell of a punch, as you can see, and you can definitely go for one shots even on high level targets such as these, procs or no. As always, my name is Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you got any sorts of feedback for me, by all means, my friends, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below, if you want to suggest any particular type of content. For example, I would like to see that build or the other build, and so on and so forth. You can also catch me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.